the life of a trend these days could literally be like a day. I mean, it's insane. And this can get very confusing, even for us, and we work in the industry. And so it's kind of nice to just take out the noise, get back to you and who you are, and then figure out what do you want your wardrobe to look like.
Hello and welcome to Get Yourself Optimized. I'm your host, Stephan Spencer. It's my pleasure to have Delia Folk and Alison Bruhn with us. Delia is the co-founder of The Style That Binds Us. She started her career in the fashion industry by interning at Versace in men's wholesale. After graduation, she worked at Barneys, New York on the buying team in cosmetics, ready-to-wear, and jewelry, both for full-price and off-price channels. While working in the buying office, she discovered and nurtured emerging designers, spotted the latest trends, and gave insights into a career in the fashion industry. Delia is a sought-after speaker, having spoken on panels and given masterclasses at the American Fashion System with ISEM, the Independent Jewelry Summit, Vore, Fairly Even Expo, and Flourish and Thrive Academy. She's also judged design competitions at New York Now. She works with brands on a consulting basis to craft their wholesale, direct-to-consumer, and marketing strategies. Alison Bruhn is the co-founder of The Style That Binds Us with Delia. She is a national style and image consultant with clients across the country. She studied at the Fashion Institute of Technology in New York City and holds a color certification from the Image Resource Center of New York. She's a member of the Association of Image Consultants International. She offers seasonal updates, closet edits, body and color analyses, men's styling, styling for students, executive styling, wedding styling, and more. Purpose of their work is to empower women through creating a visual brand and transforming their styles to ignite a new path of confidence and independence. It's great to have you both on the show. Thanks for coming.
That was a lot. That's great. Thank you so much for that introduction.
Yeah, so if we could start by maybe sharing a bit more of both of your origin stories of how you ended up focusing on fashion as your, kind of like life's mission.
Oh gosh, it's evolved over time, really. So in college, I needed to come up with a career and a major. And so I decided I'm going to move to New York and work in fashion. And so I had one connection, and then Mom and I came to New York over spring break, and he really laid out, if you want to work in fashion, these are the things to do. And then I went back to school. I went to William & Mary, so they didn't have anything relating to fashion that you could major in. So I majored in business and then chose marketing to major in marketing. And so that's how I got into it. And then when you're in school and it's midterms, but you also need to get an internship. And I was trying to break into an industry that I didn't know much about or know many people working in it. So I said, okay, Mom, I have 7 interviews next week, plus all these exams that I need to study for. So let's split up these 7 companies. Can you study the history of these companies? I'll study the history of these. And so through that process, that reawakened her love of style. And so then that led her along the journey, getting to FIT, taking that image consulting certificate course. And then she learned the science behind dressing and became a stylist. So then we were working in the same industry and organically working together because I was frequently sharing all the brands that I was discovering at Barneys. So she could be introducing her styling clients to the latest and the greatest brands. We started separate blogs, and then we combined as a mother-daughter company to create The Style That Binds Us, which is a media company and consulting agency.
Oh, that's awesome. So, Alison, why don't you share a bit more from your side of it?
Well, I guess I'm the mom, obviously. And I guess, it's interesting, my generation, and also I grew up in the South in the United States. And traditionally, caring about fashion or paying too much attention to yourself was considered vain. But also, you always, were expected to present yourself in a nice way. So I had always been interested in fashion, but I kind of tamped it down because I knew that was not, such a lofty goal. At least that was what was sort of insinuated. So anyway, getting older and realizing that it's less about the latest trends or about how other people dress. It's more about the fact that you can literally enhance yourself or sabotage yourself by what you put on your body, and you can direct what you're wearing to the occasion if you know how to do it. People always say, I don't know how to find my style. Well, I've thought about this so much lately because everyone picks a style. I want to look like Jackie Kennedy. I want to look like Taylor Swift. I like the way they dress, whatever. And then they try to emulate that. But if they have a different body type, it's just never going to work. But they can't figure out what's wrong. So it's like I learned about, for each body type, what you should wear, what doesn't work so well. And then once you start understanding about that, then you can come up with your own style aesthetic. But that's mainly, I finally realized that it is not a shallow thing and it is not vain to care about your appearance and how you dress. It's actually, it behooves you to create your best visual representation.
So how did you guys end up deciding that this would be a mother-daughter team and a company that you guys both, I guess, are 50-50 owners of? Like, was that a long time in the making, kind of a dream for you guys to go into business together, or just that kind of unfold? So tell me more about that.
Especially not for Mom. Mom, would you like to answer this, or do you want me
Well, so we were sort of like in adjacent industries. I'm working with women and Delia's working with designers, and so we were already connecting the two, which was very fulfilling. But then everybody kept saying, y'all need to work together. You need to work together. And I didn't want it to be like a mommy and me thing, almost like I was a mascot, and this is my mom, I wanted it to be a serious endeavor. And when I realized that coming together served several purposes. First of all, we could reach a broader range of women and help a broader range of people, mainly women. And so that would be super helpful, certainly more than one-on-one, And many times we talk about this is how Delia wears it. This is how Alison wears it when we're making videos and things like that. So people can, a larger group of women are able to take part in that. And then also, of course, it's wonderful working with your child. And we share the same passion for, it is about looking nice and, dressing for your body type, but also helping others in some way, especially women. It's a cliche now almost to say we are empowering women but that is literally what we're doing every day. And I think many times a mother-daughter family business is a safe place to land if you're someone especially who is a little bit unsure of how you should dress, or maybe people everyone that you've followed before was sort of some ideal that you would never be, especially for women. And this way it would be like, oh, they kind of look like me, or they dress the way that I could see myself dressing, rather than, let's say, something on Instagram or social media where you see these, or in magazines where you see models and everything. It's like, if we can do this, so can you. So come along and we'll all be stronger together. So that's kind of why I agreed to do it. And I'm so glad I did. Delia, what else did I miss?
Well, for our blogs, the content that we were covering, basically, Stephan, as you probably know, when you're starting a company, one way to do that is thinking about what are the questions people consistently come and ask you, and what are your zone of genius, what experience do you have? So for me, I really felt like day one at Barneys, retailers weren't telling brand stories digitally or in person. So why would you buy into a brand you've never heard of versus a brand that is well known, unless someone romances you and tells you that story? So then I thought, well, I know these incredible founders and I want to introduce them to the people that I know that live in fashion deserts, as Mom calls them, the people basically everywhere else besides LA and New York or Paris, these fashion capitals. And even in New York, it can be hard to navigate shopping and figuring out what to wear. So that was what I was doing. I was also talking about basically creating the resource and the guide that I did not have when I was trying to break into fashion. So talking about how to get in the fashion industry, what is it like when you're in it, and also just general career ideas. And basically thinking about, okay, what am I personally going through? And then how can I use and share that information with others to help them in their life? And for Mom, it was two things. It was one, all the questions that women were asking her when she was working with them in their closets. And also as Mom was getting older, she had a lot of questions and changes in her body. And so that took many, many years. But we created a Celebrating Life After 40 vertical. So that's a little bit. And so, yes, thankfully she did. She definitely, people started mentioning it. Y'all should do something together. You have such a great relationship. You're in the same industry. Why are you not? This is such a point of differentiation. There's not another mother-daughter necessarily in the space, nor is there a company like if y'all were to combine like this. So you should definitely think about it. So it took some time. I wanted to start a YouTube channel and podcast to bring the blog to life. And so thankfully, Mom decided that she could do that with me.
It's been an adventure. Many things that I said I would never do, I did and do.
And how long has the business been going for?
5 years.
Just past the 5-year mark.
And how long have you guys been podcasting and YouTubing for?
Day one. Literally, I know. We started with everything instead of starting with like a newsletter and then adding things. We just started off with a bang.
Nice. Okay. So how many episodes in are you on the podcast?
Oh, gosh.
We don't number them. I should check on
5 years worth. I have no idea.
We used to do it weekly, and then it kind of just depends based on, since we've added other things like a mini magazine and we have a lot of other verticals, it's not every single week, but yeah.
What you said, Delia, about the brand stories and telling those stories, how important that is so that people feel connection and want to wear a brand that they haven't heard of before. That reminds me of a definition I heard, I don't know, some years ago of a brand, and it really stuck for me. A brand is a promise, or even better, it's a promise delivered. Have you heard that definition for brand?
No, I have not.
What does that mean?
If you relate that to a brand story, you're delivering that promise through that story arc, going from rags to riches, or from just an evolving style that came out of somebody's basement, and then they built a big brand, and that might relate or resonate for somebody, and then they're coming along for the ride and they're part of that brand promise. So anyways, I just thought I'd share that with you.
Yeah, it creates, loyalty to a brand.
So let's talk for a minute about the difference between style and fashion. Is there a difference, or if so, what would that be?
Well, fashion is, the latest things, the trends, the latest designers, what's happening in the fashion space right now. And then style, someone who knows nothing about fashion can have, an incredible style. And also, style is the way you live your entire life. It's not just like what you put on your body. It's how your home is decorated. It's where you travel. It's the visual arts. If you love art, it's whatever your style is really how you create this space around you of all the things that lift you up, that you're passionate about. And so it's that je ne sais quoi, where no one really quite understands how that happens or how that person does it, but they can just tell. And a lot of it has to do with really taking time to think about what it is that you do feel passionate about. And sometimes people will say, I don't even like blue. Why have I been wearing blue? I've got blue all over my house. That's what my mother wanted me to wear. Or, those kind of things where they're like, at a certain point in life, all of a sudden they realize, well, I really love this. And I've always loved this. Why am I not surrounding myself with this? So the more authentic you become to yourself, and the more courageous you are in saying, maybe that's what society wants me to like, but instead, this is really who I am. Then that's when people start going, there's something about her or him, because you're comfortable in your own skin, and so that's what personal style is to me.
All right. So what's the difference between trend or something that's more kind of evergreen and stands the test of time? How do you tell? Like, I guess there's a current trend to have baggy sleeves for women's blouses now, I guess, but who knows if that's going to be in next year. And, then there are things that just are kind of classic and you can keep wearing that for 10 years.
10 plus years. Oh, yes, we definitely recommend. I mean, dressing classically is you will be investing in pieces that you can have for the rest of your life. And then, so for example, on the Style That Binds Us podcast, we'll do a trend report every season. And what we say at the end of that is, this is for you, FYI. For you to know, these are all the trends that are going to be very popular this season. However, what's insane is that everything is a trend right now, and they always come back around. And also there are all these made up random things, and the life of a trend these days could literally be like a day. I mean, it's insane. And this can get very confusing even for us, and we work in the industry. And so it's kind of nice to just take out the noise, get back to you and who you are, and then figure out what do you want your wardrobe to look like? So when mom works with clients, she makes sure that they have a core wardrobe. And so that is the chic, timeless, evergreen pieces that are pretty seasonless, give and take some pieces. And so then that's when you have that core wardrobe. That's the secret to getting dressed. And then you can mix and match those in millions of ways. And then you can add in the fun statement pieces. So at the end of that podcast episode, we always say, this is FYI, you now know the trends. We recommend you pick maybe one or two. And so we'll say at the end, which trends are you most excited about? So then we'll say, okay, this season, I'm so excited about X, and I'm really looking forward to getting that. Instead of like, I'm going to Zara and I'm buying every trend, and that's cheap. Not only does the trend not last, but the quality of the wardrobe, that piece doesn't last long. It's maybe for one wear. So what's the point of living your life like that? We want to get away from that fast fashion, just consumer culture, and be a lot more thoughtful about what it is that you wear. And like, hopefully we're moving, like you can be individualistic, but still feel comfortable in your own skin. So like we were just talking about personal style, thinking about like, who do I want to be today and forevermore? Do I want to change that? And really using fashion as your nonverbal communication to the world of who you are, how you're showing up for that occasion each and every day.
Well, that's okay. They're probably a fashionista. That's their thing. That's their hobby. And that's okay. They can do it for sure. The thing about, it's interesting when you think about classic clothing, when you think about what, let's say, Princess Diana wore, what she wore was just about as basic as you could get. If you can picture her when she was in her casual clothes. But when you want to have that look, but you can't figure out, well, I'm wearing a button down and a little pair of capris and a little loafer, and I just look pretty underwhelming. What makes that so special? So that's when you have to make sure that the quality of the pieces, it doesn't have to be designer, but it has to be well made. The whole body, like your hair, your skin, your makeup, everything. It's not just the shirt and the pant that you put on. And then also maybe you don't have a body type like her. Like I'd love to dress like Audrey Hepburn. I don't have a body type like Audrey Hepburn, so I could never pull that off. Or Coco Chanel, that's not my look. That's for more like boyish figures. So it again goes down to your body type or even your coloring. So let's say as a trend, the hot pink trend is huge because of the Barbie movie. So if you know that hot pink looks good on you, and it really kind of looks good on most people, then this is your year to stock up on pink clothes. But that doesn't mean cheap pink clothes that are going to melt when you try and iron them, or that are barely, put together. That means I know I'm going to wear this for the rest of my life because that color looks great on me. And if you say, well, I have to shop fast fashion because the other things are too expensive, that's when you go to consignment shops and thrift shops. I have a client right now that said she loves Max Mara. So she, for years, has thrifted. She just buys everything from Max Mara, but it's from a thrift shop or a consignment shop. It takes a little more time, but then it's like you're building an art collection, right? She knows that brand works well for her. She knows how unbelievably well the pieces are made and things like that. So it's also a style that can go with you as you get older. It's not, that's the other thing. People get confused when they're 30. They're like, can I still wear cutoffs? Can I still wear like a little mini skirt baby doll sort of dress type thing? And the answer to that is if you feel like maybe you shouldn't, then you shouldn't. If you're starting to question it, that's probably your answer. You can ask a million people, but you've already answered it yourself. You're just looking for someone to give you permission to still wear it. But if your clothes are these classic clothes, then, you can wear those when you're 20 and you can wear them when you're 75 in different ways.
Right. And having kind of a mix and match sort of approach where you wear the same shirt in different ways with different kinds of outfits. It makes you more versatile and you're not as stuck.
Right. So when I go into women's closets and they don't shop that way, they have a million clothes. You've never seen so many clothes, but they can't put together a look. They have too much stuff and they have not enough of the core pieces to pull the things together. So it's definitely, if you think, well, these clothes are more expensive, but you're going to wear that button-down skirt with jeans and also with a ball gown, literally. I mean, those are the kind of pieces that you get in. And when you get better quality clothes, you take better care of them too. And when you wear them, you feel special.
Yeah, that's important. Like, you don't want to wear stuff that makes you feel like a bum or not put together, not well kept.
Yes, right, exactly.
there's science behind it, both for you, your brain, and also the person looking at you.
Speak more to that. How does that work for your own self-image in terms of kind of brain science or your self-image? And then how does it show up for the other person who's kind of judging you?
Well, they're not judging you, first of all. I'm going to let Delia explain about enclosed cognition, but it's not that some people are judging you, but a lot of people, I was thinking today, I went for a walk in Central Park this morning because the smoke has cleared some. And I was taken by, we've always heard this. People look like their dogs. Well, there were so many people in the park today that look like their dogs. It was really remarkable. And what we know, rather than people judging other people, is our brains, and this was from the days of the cavemen, our ancient brains are always looking for patterns when they're looking at another person that they can relate to, that seem similar to them. So I think when people shop for dogs too, they don't know that they're thinking, well, that dog has the same color hair as I do, but their brain is forming these patterns. And it's the same thing when you're meeting somebody for the first time. Your brain is looking for connections, something that is, and if they're very different from you, like if they're messy or their hair is wet and you're a type A person, you're immediately going to think, oh, I bet they're probably always late, or I don't think they are going to be very organized. Those are the kind of attributes that people assign to you, more so than he's not cute or I don't like the way she looks. It's more just these attributes that your brain is coming up with without you consciously even knowing it's happening. Do you want to talk about enclosed cognition?
Yes. I mean, once we say this, when you're walking down the street, you can experience it happening. Like when you're walking and you see someone, you're thinking, you're just kind of like, these are the different qualifiers of who is this person that's approaching me. So it's subconscious. It's not about a judgment. And so within a couple seconds of seeing or meeting someone, then our brain is deciding, are they promiscuous, intelligent, leadership material, sophisticated, literally based on who is the image, how do you present yourself to the world? And that may or may not change based on how they act outside of how they look. So that's something to know. So you are a mirror of what you put on your body, basically. So like how you carry yourself and how you dress, that is how it's a showcase of how you feel about yourself. So if you feel super confident and you put on an outfit and you are dressed to the nines and feeling fabulous, you walk into that room with confidence, head held high, and then people will treat you and see you showing up as that, versus if you're feeling very subconscious, maybe you're feeling like you wish you could lose some weight or something, so you're going to wear oversized baggy clothes. I wish no one would really look at me. Like it really is. You're a mirror because it's how you feel. You're going to show up that way, and then people, based on how you dress, are going to treat you differently. So of course, if you show up to the airplane in pajamas versus a suit, you're going to act differently. And everyone else is going to act differently towards you, not in a mean way, but it's just how it goes.
Yeah, human nature.
Right.
Yeah, so enclosed cognition. So it's basically your brain. So the example is that we kept trying to tell people during lockdown was, if you're wearing comfy, cozy clothes, your brain is thinking it's time for a nap. So I'm sitting here working, but really I'm feeling so cozy, I'm ready to take a nap. Whereas if you put on that blazer and you're ready to work, not only does it mimic to other people, I respect myself and my workplace, but it also sends the signal to your brain, I'm in professional mode and I'm ready to go. So it's really fascinating to me, and maybe this doesn't happen to you, but like if I put on an outfit, or anybody, like you really embody that. So if I like really want to, like this Taylor Swift era's style is going insane. So if I put on this like eyelet cutout top with cut off shorts and cowboy boots and have a guitar and take a photo of that or a video or whatever, like I am channeling that, and I feel like I'm channeling Taylor Swift and everything she represents. If you walk into a doctor's office and someone comes in and meets you in a lab coat, I'm sure they do this as an experiment. This person may or may not even be a doctor, but because of their outfit, what they're wearing, or a police officer or whatever, there are these uniforms that are signifiers, and you're looking to this person and you're saying, okay, expert, this is the person who is the doctor who's speaking to me. They could just be some random person off the street, but it is how you embody what the clothes that you wear.
Right. Or the resident. They come in and you think they're the doctor, and they're like, no, I'm just getting your information. I'm the resident. The doctor will be in soon. You had assumed they were the doctor because They were in the lab coat.
Mm-hmm. And what was that term that you mentioned earlier about something cognition?
Enclothed cognition. That's what it is. It's twofold. It's how people think of you and how what your brain is getting signals from by what you put on your body. So that's also when I work with clients and I know I'm like, this is what you're going to wear when you have a difficult conversation that you have to have. And this is what you're going to wear when you want to seem approachable. This is how you would wear your hair. You know, it depends when I work with someone like a child psychologist, you know, they should not be in a suit or really even a blazer and a tailored shirt. They need to be in a soft, like a cashmere sweater and a little, for a man, just not jeans, but not formal pants and shoes, you know, just something that is professional looking, but something that looks like they're friendly, right? And then for the woman, you know, don't have your hair tightly up in a bun and be sitting behind a desk. When a traumatized child comes in, you want to be able to sit in a chair where you can lean down close to them. Your hair is down, your clothes look soft, and there's nothing scary about you except that they know you're a grown-up. And then they can open up and feel they're in a safe space. So once you know those things, that's when I talk about sabotaging yourself. If you don't know them and, you know, you're not going to have as many clients or the child's going to walk out crying, or you're interviewing for a job, but you don't understand that they definitely are not going to think it's a good thing that you came in with your hair wet. Because I see that all the time. And you don't want to say, what's up? And all these kinds of things that you didn't even know. No one had really explained that to you. And you're like, you mean I can't wear jeans or like white jeans to an interview? No, you can't. It doesn't even matter. You know, first of all, you need to study the culture. You know, it's common sense, but a lot of people don't understand that. Delia, what did you tell me? Like your visual communication is more memorable than what you say.
Right. Over 55% of communication is nonverbal. So if you're giving a presentation or whatever that is, the first thing that they're paying attention to is who is this person? And then if you're going to distract, it's insane. You can watch them on TV. You can watch them on the presentation. You could be so distracted by something that they're wearing. I can't believe they're wearing a crop top to the office. You can't even hear what they're saying. But if you have really thought about it and you're presenting in a professional way and you're going on about, then they'll be able to listen to what you're saying in the presentation. And the visual part of that is just, it's even more important than the content. So people think like, I'm a professor, I'm an X, whatever it is. And style doesn't matter. My work speaks for itself or my intelligence speaks for itself. It does not. It does not speak for itself. It can, but really you need to also play the part visually.
Yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense. You know, I'm reminded of this funny YouTube video of a guy showing off a work from home Zoom suit, and it was just the top. It had the whole jacket thing and tie and and it was all fake because it was just one piece.
Oh, no.
And it was just the top part. It wasn't even the back.
No way.
Right. See, into your brain, they're messing themselves up because your brain knows that. If you're wearing fast fashion, people can say, oh, you can buy into fast fashion. Who will know? Well, you will know. Your brain will know that this is what you're wearing. And so, of course, if you are unable to afford, like Mom said, consignment and thrift, you can also get pieces tailored to fit your body. So even if you're if you're shopping at Target or Walmart or low price brand, there are ways to make it tailor and seem and look more expensive. So it's not just off the rack.
Higher quality, right.
Right. Because one of the things for men, I guess the style currently is not to have wide-legged pants.
Right.
So if you have wide-legged pants and you love them, take them in to get tailored. If they're able to fix them.
Wide leg pants and pants with pleats for men are coming back.
Okay. I can't keep up.
I know. But I'm kind of excited about that trend. I mean, I feel like the super skinny pants and the super skinny collared shirts and everything, they work well on European men because they're sort of smaller and thinner. But for a lot of American men, I don't think it's very comfortable for them because it's like they're squeezed into these clothes. So I'm excited I was reading about that yesterday and I was happy to hear that.
Awesome. And you mentioned, one of you mentioned earlier about having things that accent your core wardrobe items. So how does that work? Like, what's the point? Is that to add some sort of flair, or is it to, I don't know, grab attention? You know, there's this there's this term in the pickup world called peacocking. Have you heard of this?
No, it's more about like if people say, well, okay, now I have my white shirt, my black pant, a navy blazer, whatever it is that are the core pieces. That's when you get to add the scarf, or you add a cool shoe, or like guys add cool socks a lot of times now, or an interesting belt, those kinds of things where you're having fun with it. It's not necessarily, unless you're the type person that does want to wear a Gucci loafer, so people know that's Gucci loafer, which is like an unspoken like connector kind of thing. Oh yeah, I have those too, kind of thing. You're in my club or whatever. But more, it's really about now when you see a really cool jacket or sweater or shoes or anything that maybe has more going on. Back at home in your closet, what you're going to put under the jacket, and you have the basic pant that fits your body well. So it's like the first part, that core wardrobe part, is not necessarily lots of fun. It's kind of hard work, and you don't end up with 4 almost white shirts because you didn't want to spend the money to get that one white shirt that's made of good quality, that you can tell it's a beautiful piece, but you don't want to spend the money. Okay, well, you just spent the money, but on 4 that none of them are quite right. So same thing with pants. And maybe you have to go get things altered and everything. And it's like collecting an art collection. It's just one at a time. And some things are on a list of like one day, like a really smart looking trench, for example. If you work, especially in the city. And also trenches are great just because of the weight of them. They work better, especially now, climate change. They're a good weight, and you can wear them for dressier things, and you can wear them with jeans and those kind of things. So that's a piece that you'd want to spend more on, but maybe right now you're trying to buy all these other core things. So that goes on the list of, I'm going to look for them on sale. I know these things go on sale like probably in July when nobody's wearing them because it's hot. I'll see what I can find then. So that part is just the hard part. That's putting the furniture in the house. And then the fun part is finding a colorful chair, great pillows or curtains or whatever. That's the fun part, or a cool earring for a woman, things that bring joy to the person that's wearing them. The perfect black pant doesn't necessarily bring joy, or a gray pant or a suit for a guy, that can be worn in a whole bunch of different ways, but they know it's there. Once it's there, they're like, I cannot believe how much I wear this.
Now, for our listener who's not familiar with the term fast fashion, can you just define that for us?
Well, fast fashion just means it's made really fast, and it's made very inexpensively. And the problems with it are it doesn't hold up. A lot of it, the fabric is of course not natural, so it's really hot. And when you're trying to iron it, sometimes it does kind of like melt. And also, the most important thing to remember, in our opinion, is if you can buy a shirt for $20 or $10, someone has suffered in the process of that being made. It could be in the factory, it could be, in the store, all along the chain. You can't make, just the labor alone. I mean, it's just, it doesn't make sense. It's too good to be true. And then when people buy it because it's so cheap, they don't feel bad about, I don't like this anymore, just kind of throwing it out. And they add new things in like every 6 weeks. So it's like a drug. Oh, I'm going to go back in and see what they've got now. And then you end up with all this stuff in your closet, but it's not really stuff you would necessarily wear if you were going somewhere special, because like Delia was saying, that it's Zara and somebody else might be wearing it. And, you might feel funny if you're at a wedding reception and you're in a Zara dress, kind of thing. So the worst part too, besides the fact that someone suffered, is where's all this stuff going when people get rid of it? It doesn't dissolve back into the earth because it's not natural fibers. So it's like stacking up in landfills everywhere and polluting, the earth. And we're obviously having all these problems with climate change and everything else. So it's fun to go buy a lipstick or something like that. I understand that feeling of adrenaline when you go somewhere and you get, like, someone will say, I got 5 shirts and I spent $40. You're like, oh my God, that's terrible. It's more like quality, like, oh, I bought this beautiful shirt and I'm going to keep it for the rest of my life. I'm so excited to have it because I can wear it in a bunch of different ways. I understand, okay, if I buy less, I work every day at the office now. So I've got to have all these, I can't just wear the same thing over and over again. So it's having those accessories and things to kind of change up the look. And then just being thoughtful about it. It's not like you go and buy a ton of $5 paintings and stick them all over your house where there's no wall space left. You want it to be something that is a representative of you, and also something that when people see it, they're like, wow, how did she do that? How does he do that? People are drawn to you. When you respect yourself, people are going to treat you with more respect.
Right. Now, you can get these fancy designer brands at really cheap places like TJ Maxx and Marshalls.
Uh-huh. Oh, yeah, right. Exactly.
But those aren't the same clothes, are they? They're not the ones that are made in the same factories as the really high end.
No. You're right. They buy like the overflow and stuff, what's left over and stuff like that. And that's the thing too. Like there is a consignment shop sort of near where I live. And that's the kind of place, because you don't go to a consignment shop or a thrift shop saying, I'm going to find the perfect dress for this wedding I'm going to, because you don't know what you're going to find there. It's not like they're going to have 10 sizes of the same dress. It's more like going on a treasure hunt. So it might take you longer to find something, but also it is a place where you'd pop in and say, maybe they do have a trench that's on my list, or I've been looking for a so-and-so shoe. I'm going to pop in here, because nothing is being made new. It's there. And if it's in good shape, it's already been made. You're just, one man's trash is another man's treasure. You're giving new life to something, and that feels good too.
Can you take, let's say, shoes into a cobbler to
absolutely
refresh those? Like you could go take your pants in to get tailored or altered by the tailor. You do the same thing for the shoes?
Yeah, that's a great idea. I mean, it's a very smart idea. I'm glad you brought it up, because it's crazy how people look at shoes. People will notice your shoes. People will notice your briefcases if you have one, your backpack, your purse, your coat, like the entrance and the exit. They're always going to remember. But also if you're sitting at a meeting or anything, you think about it. Now that I've said that, the next time you're somewhere, catch yourself looking at their shoes. So if your shoes are scuffed and worn out, it's kind of like, aha, they're sort of put together, but there's the outlier. Those shoes look like they're 25 years old, Well, you just take them into, a shoe shop, and they resole them and they buff them up. And also when you take care of them at home too, when you don't just throw them down. I always tell people to take either shoe inserts or crumpled up like tissue from a shoe box. When you take your shoe off, stick that down in there so it retains its shape. Otherwise, eventually the shoe is kind of shaped to your foot, and it looks kind of old and worn out. So there are a lot of things you can do to treat your clothes better, and then they last longer, and they're nicer clothes.
Good tips. So can you define the term ready to wear?
Fast fashion also has no resale value. So that's something to keep important if you want to live your life in a circular way. You can always think about, okay, if I purchase something, if I purchase the Gucci bag, or if I invest in something, then it is going to, later, I can always resell it if it no longer fits in my life. But if you're purchasing brands at a certain level and below, consignment stores don't want it. I guess you could sell it on Poshmark, but that's...
I don't even know if they'll do it, or thrift shops anymore. I don't know. That's a very good point.
Ready to wear versus couture is that standard size scale. So it is made many different sizes, and it goes to the stores, whether that's the boutique or the brand store, and you can purchase that, versus having the pieces like in the past, made, tailored specifically for you, and not many, if any, other pieces actually exist like that in the world.
Gotcha. And there's this term bespoke. When I lived in New Zealand, I heard that term.
Right, for men's especially.
So what is that? Like, that's just custom, right?
Right. You have to know you're going to spend a lot of money, but that would be, what comes to mind always is Savile Row in London. But that means you go and you have a suit made for you. You pick out the fabric. They measure you top to bottom. They cut the muslin. You go try it. And then once they have that and you've tried it and they feel good about it, then they go cut the fabric and make the suit. So it's a process that you're involved in. And those suits are incredibly well made. And that's like my grandfather. He wore the same suits his entire adult life, because they were that, and they were so well made, and they were taken care of. I don't even think he had a pair of jeans. I think he was always in a suit, or at least like those pleated pants, and a collared shirt. But that's what it is. And it is a great experience. Even if you do it once in your life, you can also do it with shirts. Especially, it's a good idea if you are not an average size. And if you're so much not an average size that the alterations are going to be crazy expensive, you might as well just get the suit made for you. And once you get the suit made for you, that place of business has your measurements and everything. And then you say, I'd like a blue one now because this one is working out so well.
Gotcha. So how do you find your style?
Body type. You start there. You start with your body type. You have to start with your body type. Because what happens, why people think they don't have any style is because they keep trying on styles and in their head, the way they want to look, but they don't have that body type. And so then they get discouraged and they feel like they can't figure anything out. They have no sense of style. But if they had picked someone that had a similar body type to theirs, that look might work for them. So then they would have had a lot of confidence. They just didn't know about, like, when you have a certain kind of body type, this is the pant you wear, this is the top. If you have like a larger, if you're like a pear-shaped person, then you need to bring attention out here to create balance between your top and your bottom half. But if someone is who is more petite up here and they're trying to do something big pants with floral-y stuff, then they're just making their bottom half look bigger and their top half look even smaller. But they're like, why isn't this working for me? It looks so cute on so-and-so. Well, that's all it is. It's not that you don't have style. It's that doesn't work for your body type. You get to wear boat neck tops and tops with epaulettes and puff sleeves and all these things that will create balance and once you figure that out, you're like, oh, now I get it. And then the rest of your life, boom, you know what to go towards and what to go away from.
That makes sense. So those 3 body types I learned about in school, mesomorph, endomorph, and ectomorph. Is that something that you work into your vocabulary with clients, or is it more like pear-shaped and apple-shaped and that?
Yeah, it is. It's more like pear-shaped, but I definitely know what you're talking about, but it's easier just to either do that or even if I don't even tell them what it is in the beginning. Some people might, well, I don't want to be an apple shape, well, that means you have great legs and probably pretty arms, and you're going to do some things to minimize the waist, bring attention to the middle and a way to give yourself a waist and, things like that. But you just are gentle with people about that because we are what we are. And, there are great ways to accentuate the good parts and create balance and then camouflage things that maybe you're self-conscious about.
Gotcha. Now, if I like a particular brand or a store, is that dangerous to just keep shopping there all the time? Like I really like John Varvatos. I mean, not as much these days as I did a few years ago, like 3, 5, 7 years ago. I loved.
But no, that is like such a plus because you know what size works for your body type. And, let's say, for example, there's a brand, let's say like Theory. Theory pants are made for people that are thin and have not much shape, that are just like, rectangular in build, basically. Anybody that has any kind of curves or a backside, anything like that, Theory pants are not going to work. It doesn't matter how much you want them to, they're not going to fit you. So once you know that, if you're that person that does have that boyish type figure, or it's a guy that has, doesn't have any backside or anything, then that for sure is like, well, I'm going to go check Theory before I check anything else. I'm going to go check John Varvatos to see what he's doing that's new because I loved so-and-so. And also with the core pieces, you can say, okay, I want the same pant then in gray, navy, khaki, whatever. You can knock it out in one fell swoop if they, if that's a piece that really works well for you. It's a great idea. People that are fashionistas, if that is literally their hobby rather than, let's say, boating or gardening or travel or whatever, that's their thing. It's like trying all the new brands and, dressing up and fluffing themselves up and everything. That's great. They're going to go to all the stores and try all kind of different things and stuff like that. But for people that live busy lives and have other things on their mind too, it's great to have brands that are go-to brands for sure.
What about stores? Like I used to love Barneys and yeah.
I know.
It's sad.
We miss Barneys a lot because it's hard to, there's really nothing that took its place.
Yeah. What happened there? Well, I forget now. How do those, how did they go out of business?
Lots of different things. It started with the rent. But yes, having a go-to store, like we don't need to reinvent the wheel. So it's like if you find a brand that works for you, perfect, start there. I feel like a lot of guys do that step and repeat. Like Mom was saying, you love this pant and top, ordered in multiple colors, done. You don't have to think about it. You know that it fits. And then once you need something new, you don't have to spend time figuring out something else. You can just order it. Or if there's a store that you love their curation, then for sure, always start there and go in and shop that way. One thing to remember for everyone is how you do anything is how you do everything. So kind of like you were talking about, like if you put in the effort to get dressed, but then your shirt is wrinkled or what, like you didn't go that extra step, then it throws off the whole look. So the people who you feel, or they say to you, you always look X, whether it's a male or a female, like there's some,
I think we always look messy.
no, like you always look so cute, you always look so feminine, like, and you're almost saying like, oh, I kind of wish that I could look like that, but why can't I figure that out? Or maybe I feel like I am not. So I'm wondering why. How do I change that? So working with Mom, for example, that's how working with a stylist and really being thoughtful of all the different things. People don't just show up looking like so fabulous. There's a lot of thought put into it, and it's all the things that you do. It's the beauty, it's the hair, it's the whole look, head to toe, taking the time to steam. And like Mom was saying, taking care of the shoes and making sure the smells, you smell nice, all the things. And then that's your reputation. And whether perception is reality. So whether you feel that way, people think that about you because of how you show up. And people remember. People that I was an assistant at Barneys 10 years ago, and they're like, oh, Delia, I remember you always are X, X, and X. And they would, remember these things, which is so crazy. I was just like new in my career. So being thoughtful and presenting yourself how you want to show up in the world is really going to behoove you and set you apart, because most people don't do it. So that's how you're going to achieve all the goals in your life, like you're saying, peacocking, whether it's getting that promotion, accomplishing your career goals, or getting that romantic partner, closing the deal, whatever that is, you're going to be able to do that because you're looking fabulous. Therefore, you're feeling confident and you're showing up and you're ready to do the things that you want to do. And you're not distracted by, oh, is this too tight? Is this, I need to pull this down? Things like that. You can just not even worry about it and then do your work, or just concentrate on the conversation. And because I'll have conversations with friends and at a party, and they're like, oh, shoot, I shouldn't have worn this. So they're the whole time in their head,
they're distracted.
They can't be present and have fun at the event because they're self-conscious about their outfit.
Great points.
Yeah. And I think so many people, what they forget to do is like close their eyes and think about two things. One, like for you, Stephan, if you are going somewhere to do something for the first time, or if you're going to meet with a lawyer, or you want to buy a house, whatever it is, if you picture like, how would I want someone to look in that role? So let's say you want to go and you're bidding on a house and there's 3 other people bidding on it. And people, they don't even know they're doing it, but they are looking at, these 3 different people. And if you're thinking, well, if I were the broker and I were selling the house, I would go with the one that looked blank. So what is that? And then you create that. If I was the one interviewing someone for this position, what would I want them to be wearing? What would make me think they didn't know what they were doing, or that they were always going to be late? What would make them think this person looks just the way I would want someone? I want this person as an addition to our company.
Absolutely. And just like a similar vein, if I'm meeting with a prospect on Zoom, how do I look?
Right.
How does my background look? Because if I'm in their shoes, imagining being the prospect and making a decision, who do I want to hire?
Right. Exactly.
Yeah. And I love what you said, Delia, about how you do one thing is how you do everything. Because if somebody is not well kept up in their appearance, or their background is a mess on the Zoom, you can extrapolate that to how they're going to do with your marketing campaigns.
Exactly.
Yes, for sure. And Stephan, Zoom and this digital world does not mean more casual. So we need to all remember that. And that's really important, because I cannot tell you every single interview, maybe this this is, I'm sure, at all age levels, but I'm interviewing students who are Gen Z. Every single one of them shows up, messy hair, sitting on an unmade bed in a white t-shirt to an interview. And I mean, if we were actually hiring them to like be forward facing,
right, to represent our company, right.
It's insane. So we just all need to remember, like, just because you're at home getting on an interview, if you are trying to meet with a client or you're having a meeting with a brand and you want them to hire you to do whatever, then you really need to show up, and you cannot show up just as you are.
Right.
People may reprimand me for saying that, but
No, I don't think so.
Well, no, it's information to help them get what they want, right? Which intern would you pick? Obviously, it's the story that I was telling about those lawyers. A lawyer team went to meet with the head of a music company, and so they thought they should dress more casually. And the feedback they got was, I thought lawyers wore suits. He thought they didn't care enough to put on their finest to go meet with him. And they were so surprised by that, but it does. That's why this really has not so much to do with fashion, but much more about empowering yourself, doing whatever you can to help yourself in whatever you're trying to go after.
Yeah, and I think you can end up self-sabotaging if you have these go-to favorites in your closet that are worn out, or the style has changed, the fashion's changed, and they're not a good look for you anymore, but you keep hanging on to it. You really do need to pare down your wardrobe in order to make room for new stuff and not just keep adding. And I know that, Alison, you do closet edits with your clients, or closet cleanses is another way to refer to it, wardrobe cleanse or whatever. So how important is that, and how often, and what's involved?
Well, I think at certain times in your life too, there's like a lot of times it's after someone has had a child, or it's 10 years after college, or it's, the kids are getting older. They're leaving the nest. These times where life is changing for you and you stop for a minute, you realize, I used to think this looked so great on me. These jeans were so great, right? Or I love this blazer, and it doesn't seem so great anymore. So like check in with yourself every few years, try on that favorite go-to piece. And if it looks like that's not the jacket you're going to wear to go out to dinner anymore, then maybe it's time to replace that. Because what's going to happen is someone's going to come in, if you hire someone to do this with you, and it's going to be all these piles. This pile goes to, charity or whatever. This pile is nice enough that it could go to be consigned. This pile is for alterations. This pile is, a lot of times I create a maybe pile because I don't want to tell people immediately that's horrible. Some people I can say, nope, that's got to go. That's got to go. We're bringing this in, but with other people, they look so funny when you say, a lot of times I'll just say, well, how do you feel about that? And they're like, well, I've had it a long time, but it's like my favorite, or my girlfriend gave me this shirt, and I'm like, oh, when was that? Well, college, so maybe we don't throw it away or give it away. We're just going to put it over here for a little while. And maybe we bring in something new. And then eventually it can kind of just go on its way in a gentler way. But yes, you just keep adding things in. It just makes a big mess and you can't find anything. And I hear it over and over and over again. The less you have in your closet, the more you have to wear. When you go through your closet, invariably people are like, oh, I forgot I even had that. That's kind of cute. Oh dear, this one still has the price tag on it. They've gotten it so cluttered up that they don't even really know what's in there anymore.
Yeah, that reminds me of like episodes of Hoarders that.
Right, exactly. I have people go, am I a hoarder? Am I a hoarder of blue jeans? No. But just let's try them on because some of them probably don't even fit you the same way anymore. So it's funny, yeah.
So last question before we wrap up is how does one get inspiration for their style from the internet? Do they go on to Pinterest? Do they go on to YouTube? Do they do Google images searches? Are they looking for celebrities, for models, for YouTubers to kind of emulate their style? What's the process here?
TikTok, all of those things, movies, Netflix, everything. You can get inspiration anywhere. People just walking down the street. But like I keep saying, until you know your body type, you're wasting your time because there's a style right now where The blue jeans for women, let's say, they're like the old denim, like the thick, with no stretch, and they're kind of oversized. So, and people are wearing those with like little crop tops or with a big oversized shirt over it and a crop top and stuff like that. So that works for a certain group of people, but for most people, it does not work. But they're seeing it over and over again on TikTok and Instagram. And so that's like the trend. So they want to do it. So they keep buying, these expensive oversized jeans and putting them on. And they're like, I feel these things swallow me. I just don't feel attractive at all. And the same thing for men, like with those super skinny pants. If you have a little bit of a belly and you're wearing a tight shirt and these tight pants, you're not going to feel like, you got it going on. You're going to be self-conscious, that maybe the buttons are straining at your tummy, and stuff like that. So once you know your body type, then you start looking for those celebrities. You can Google that for sure. You can Google, like, if you're a woman, who has an hourglass figure? What celebrity has an hourglass shaped figure? And then you see, all these different people, and they're like, oh, okay, well, let's see, of all of these women, I'm going to look at pictures of them and see what they picked, and also maybe one that I like the way she dresses. And so I can kind of be inspired by her style. Whereas if you're someone that has a figure 8 figure, this little Coco Chanel type style icon, that's never going to work, because that's made for people that go straight up and down. So you can just tell yourself, that's just not going to work for me. So when I shop from now on, I'm going to quit buying these little Chanel type suits and jackets to try and wear with jeans and stuff, because it's never going to work for me. So now I know this is the right jacket, the 3rd layer piece for me or whatever. And then you'll start noticing, and you'll also start noticing when you're walking down the street and your places at dinner and stuff, you'll start looking at people and going, oh no, she's got broad shoulders. She should be wearing something that's bringing attention to the middle. Once you start learning these things about yourself, then you'll start seeing them. Now that person is right on with their style, because they have a curvy figure, and so they're wearing a wrap dress that shows off their waist, and then it starts making more and more sense to you. And then it's like learning a new skill, understanding, okay, well, if I have broad shoulders, obviously now that I know that, puff sleeves are not what I need to wear. Even though everyone is making puff sleeves right now, that is something I need to stay away from. I need to look for things that come down here in the middle. Great buttons, V-neck tops, things like that take attention away from the shoulders. Don't accentuate them if that's something that you're subconscious about, stuff like that. So once you know that, then the fun begins.
That's awesome. Anything you'd like to add before we wrap up, Delia?
Well, I mean, it can get very noisy. I think in general, in modern day life, 2023, there's so many images and videos and people that so much stimuli all day, every day. And so maybe it could be easy to get confused about style. So one thing to really think about is try to block out the noise. And like whenever I'm getting dressed, or when I'm texting mom, okay, I have this event, what should I wear? So really tap into like your instinct. What is it that you're feeling? What do you want to wear? Who cares what everyone else is wearing? And maybe you are a bit more self-conscious. You're not super confident right now, and you are really wanting to wear what everyone else is wearing. So that's fine. So style versus fashion. Another thing is wearing a full Gucci look head to toe is fashion. That's not style. Style is creating an outfit that is you, and you embody and you feel fabulous, instead of a designer doing that for you, or a merchandiser. So you can get excited about outfits and things if you see something online, and keeping in mind, oh, okay, I have at least one piece or the full thing in my closet. Oh, that's a new way to put it together. Or, oh, here's this full outfit and maybe I just need one piece. And then that will really bring it all together. So there are ways to get inspired without getting and feeling confused. And then the other thing, I don't know if mom mentioned this with the closet edit, but less truly is more. Like the tendency would be, I need all the things, I can't give these away. And usually I do feel like, I'm like, oh, where's that? And then we've sent it to consignment. I'm like, what? Why did we send those shoes to consignment? That's really frustrating.
Because you've had them for 10 years and they're worn out. I'm like constantly editing. She doesn't like to do.
If you do clear out the closet and you I mean, truly, you can make so much with like 30 pieces. It's insane, and makes dress much easier. Your mind is less cluttered, and it can be a fun, simple, exciting exercise versus like looking at all this stuff and being like, how am I supposed to get dressed? So you can do more with less. So that's why doing the closet edit, getting the core wardrobe, and then adding in the fun pieces, and then getting dressed and shopping is going to be a much more enjoyable experience.
That's awesome. I really enjoyed this conversation. Thank you both. And yeah, I'm inspired to do some refreshing of my wardrobe and
Check your shoes, check your heels,
yeah,
check your
exactly.
soles.
Exactly. Thank you so much, both of you, Delia and Alison. And thank you, listener, for going on this journey with us into fashion and style. And I hope that you don't just take this as information, but you apply it in your life, because it will make a difference for you. It might seem, as you heard, potentially like a little superficial, but it's not. It gets to your self-confidence and to how you show up in the world. We'll catch you in the next episode. I'm your host, Stephan Spencer, signing off.